Moving on to Cameroon. Now this is a bittersweet story, and it shows what happens when African leaders, African governments don't care about their citizens abroad. Now I'm talking about the story of Tonan Emmanuel Njong. I'm sorry if I didn't say his name correctly. This man was teaching English in China. He was an English teacher until one day the Chinese police arrested him for fraud, a crime that he said he never committed. There was never an evidence that he actually committed fraud, but he was held in a detention center for 10 months while he was waiting for a government-sponsored lawyer. First of all, you know that detention centers are not fun at all. It's like one of the worst places you can put an immigrant. So in that 10 months, he was not allowed to contact any friend or family. So everybody just believed that he disappeared. They actually thought that he died because he couldn't communicate with anybody, not any friend, not any family member. Now, if the government has a case against you, I don't think that a government-sponsored lawyer can help you. Do you think so? So in the end, they sentenced him to prison where he was working from 6 in the morning every morning, either weekend or weekdays, every morning, 6 in the morning till 10 p.m. Sometimes making paper shopping bags. I'm talking about paper bags that you will see in so many stores here in New York, across the US, you know, so many stores that are using these paper bags, or assembling electronics, or even sewing garments. These were the things that he was doing. And because they were being monitored 24 hours a day, he couldn't try to escape. However, they had a paper and pen to record their quota every day. So he stole the paper and pen to write a secret letter under his blanket at night. Pretending to be sleeping, he wrote a help letter describing where he was kept and what was going on, and he was able to write 5 copies of this help letter, and he snuck each one of them inside the paper bags that he was making, hoping that someday somebody would see it and that he would be rescued. And he made sure that he added his picture. Fortunately for him, one woman in New York got one of the 5 paper bags when she went shopping at Saks. I mean, that's a designer shop on 5th Avenue right here. It's like, I can't even believe that something like that could happen. When she was unpacking her shoes, it was like something fell on the floor. So when she picked it up and saw the letter, she sent the letter to a Washington-based advocacy group that was founded to fight human rights abuse in Chinese prison. So they started investigating, you know, trying to see how they can save this guy. But unfortunately, they got stuck. They couldn't find the guy. Now, the Homeland Security also got involved when they couldn't find the guy, but the case was dragging for years. This guy was still in prison. But you know, luckily for him, the Chinese prison decided to release him after 3 years. They said that he was well behaved, so they deported him back to Cameroon. I'm thinking that it's possible that someone had hinted them that they're looking for this guy, you know, maybe that's why they released him. I mean, because it's so unlike them to release prisoners. Anyway, I'm saying this just to plead with my African brothers and sisters who are planning on moving abroad. Please be very careful where you go. Make sure that, first of all, that they speak a language that you understand, because language barrier can cause all kinds of trouble. Several times I've heard of Africans being harassed in China. The saddest part of the story is when they take you to court, they will do everything in their language. So you may not even know what they're saying about you, and you're right there. So make sure that you go to a country where you at least understand the language. And also, please, as much as possible, stay in touch with your family members at home so that somebody will ask after you if you should ever disappear. Somebody should raise an alarm. They should have people looking for you if you ever disappear. Now, having said that, I do have a problem with all these Western stores that are using forced labor. I mean, can you believe? Haven't we talked about this long enough? Using cheap labor in China, in different parts of the world. These are my African brothers and sisters that are paying the price. Can you imagine? How many people do we know that have been in the same shoe with this guy? We only know about his story. You never know how many people have lived like that for years and died like that. But can we blame them when our own government doesn't really care about us? I was so heartbroken that the Cameroonian embassy in Beijing and Washington refused to comment or even fight for this guy. You know, they did not answer phone calls or return emails for comment. It's like, what? When will our embassies abroad realize that they are supposed to do more than issue passports and visas? And this is not peculiar to Cameroonian embassies, by the way. Nigerian embassies, they cannot be left out. Yes, you all know what I'm talking about. Our embassies are supposed to be our home away from home, but they treat us like we're nothing. You know, we're supposed to hold programs, events at the embassies, but you know, you go to the embassy, they talk to you as if you have come to beg for something. And I've talked about this in one of my episodes, so I won't go into details, but this guy probably wouldn't have spent 3 years in prison if his embassy went after him when they realized that he's missing. If they had raised an alarm, if they had tried to find him, maybe he wouldn't have spent 3 years of his life in the Chinese prison. But I'm hoping that he won't just go through this, that our embassies and our government would do more in protecting the lives of their citizens abroad. Nigerian government, Cameroonian government, all these African governments, I hope that they will do more in protecting the lives of their citizens abroad. Do we even know how many Nigerians are abroad? Do we have a record so we can be up to date in terms of their welfare and their well-being? But I'm just glad that my brother is back and now he has relocated to Dubai and he actually has a life now in Dubai. I'm very happy for him, and you know, I don't know much anyway, but guess what? I'm just keeping it real.